One thing about the war is the fact that there is no future. It's all the present. That's what you're thinking about the whole time. Are you going to survive? You don't even know when the war is going to end. You're hoping it'll end, quickly. There's no future for you there. There's just this present, and the present is not always pleasant. Hoping that you'll survive another day, another mission.
"25,000 feet above Kiel, Germany, Joe Armanini is hunched over the bomb site inside the nose of his B-17. Inside the flak field, exploding shrapnel is tearing the bombers to pieces. Moments earlier, Armanini watched as a burst struck his best friend's plane. Now, directly below his bomb site, lies the target they have come so far to destroy.
Bombs are away. Nobody even says a word. We hit them dead on, but there's really nothing to celebrate. What's the point? All around us, our bombers are ripped to shreds. It's a pathetic sight. And we need to get the hell out of here.
Armanini and the B-17s clear the flak field and set a course to rendezvous with a group of P-47 Thunderbolts. Until they reach their protective fighters, the damaged bombers are at the mercy of the Luftwaffe. Like sharks circling a wounded prey, this is their favorite time to attack.
Escorting the bombers into enemy airspace is one thing. Rendezvousing with them on a return trip, that's another. How many will return from the mission intact? Will they be damaged? Will there be wounded on board? Will the Luftwaffe be riding hot behind them? We never know what to expect.
Nicknamed the Greek by his fellow airmen, 23-year-old Second Lieutenant Steve Paisanos is behind the controls of his P-47 Thunderbolt. A pilot in the 4th Fighter Group, his orders are to pick up the wounded bombers and escort them back to England.
As we were approaching the returning bombers, the Germans kept attacking. I saw one of the B-17s, one of the engines began to smoke. And the next thing was that people were jumping from that crippled B-17. All of a sudden, ME-109 dove down from the sky above us and went after one of the guys in a parachute. And we were able to really witness the killing of that man coming down in a parachute. Then one of our guys on the formation says, "Get that SOB."
Dogfighting at 500 miles an hour, Paisanos and the 4th Fighter Group take evasive maneuvers to protect the bombers.
I still remember how things happen in a dogfight. The sound of the engines and where you were able to see aircraft burning and falling down, people jumping from their aircraft in a parachute. To this day, I go back, you know, and think about that situation. It's a big mix-up there with aircraft going all over the sky. People trying to shoot each other, and you are watching what is happening. You know, your heart is pounding, and you see bullets flying in front of you there, and try to avoid being hit. And it is really a condition that I have never forgotten.
The aerial duel is over within minutes. Paisano and the 4th destroyed 9 enemy aircraft before forcing the Luftwaffe to retreat. With the skies now clear, they escort the weary bombers back to the English coast, where the groups split apart and return to their separate bases.
I can't believe we made it back. It's such an intense rush of relief. But the feeling wears off pretty quickly when I ask about Griffith's plane. No one knows anything. No one is sure what happened. But if a plane doesn't return within a couple hours, you know it's never going to return. I can't imagine what the Griffith family might be doing right now. Thousands of miles away, they have no idea that their son may be dead or dying right now. What will his parents do when the telegram comes saying he's missing in action? God, what would anyone say to my own family if they got the news that I was missing? The waiting. The not knowing whether you're alive or dead. I think it has to be better to be told your son has just died. And that's it.
Well, what you do, you go to the bar and get drunk. Yeah, that's what happens. I mean, my relief was the fact that I know the person was gone, my best friend was gone, and all I could think of, what the hell, you know, just go to the bar and down a bunch of scotch, and then you go to bed, you don't worry about it anymore. And then you worry again the next morning or the next day, and you worry the rest of your life, because you know that the inevitable, you're never going to see him again. That's one of the facts of life.
London is an embattled city. German bombs have destroyed much of it. Here, the war is personal. We have an office in the London Times
building. We were down in what was known as the City, at the end of Fleet Street. You could see the devastation everywhere. No place that hadn't been hit or bombed, and it was disturbing.
All you have to do is take one look at the men and the women in the street. Mothers and wives who have lost loved ones, whose families and homes have been destroyed. And you can understand how passionately they hate Hitler. The attitude here is that the Germans started the war, and nothing that can happen to them is bad enough.
On July 27, 1943, U.S. and British forces enter the 3rd day of the combined Blitzweek offensive. Their objective is to cripple the Luftwaffe by bombing military and industrial sites deep inside of Germany. Only tonight, as 700 Royal Air Force bombers depart from bases across England, Their mission is to destroy more than just military installations. Each plane is armed with almost 3,000 pounds of incendiary bombs. Their primary target is the German people. The British bombers pound Germany's second-largest city, igniting the first man-made firestorm in history. Hamburg burns for days. Relief workers are finally able to enter the city on August 2nd. They find streets and air raid shelters filled with charred corpses. For the British, who had suffered for years under Luftwaffe bombs, Hamburg is considered a resounding victory. Its total annihilation meant to break the will of the German people and bring the war to their doorstep.
At the beginning of the war, you're innocent. You're stupid. You think it's going to be a romantic deal, you know, you're going to fly over and you're going to drop your bombs and you get the target. It's sort of like a romantic thing you see in the movies. But you change after a while. When the British bombed Hamburg, I thought it was great. They killed 35,000 people. I said, well, that's 35,000 people less we have to worry about. There's a feeling during the war that takes place, whether it's secretly or unknown with you, but it's this. You know that if you kill more Germans, you kill them all, the war's going to end. You know that's impossible, that you can't kill them all, but you kill as many as you can. The war is not a sympathetic
war. I know a lot of people die when we drop our bombs. Might be children, fathers, mothers, and grandmothers. But you don't think about it that way. All we're thinking is if killing means winning and winning means going home, well then, that's what you do.
By the end of Blitz Week, 8th Air Force casualties total nearly 1,000 men. 97 B-17s have failed to return. Countless others crash land in the English countryside, where reporter Andy Rooney surveys the carnage.
It's difficult to get accurate stats on our losses. No one is interested in letting the Germans know how effective their flak and fighters are. But looking around at so many smashed and damaged bombers, we all know.
For 8th Air Force commanders, Blitz Week is a grim awakening. The B-17s cannot protect themselves against the Luftwaffe. They need fighter protection all the way to and from the target. But this poses a grave problem. No fighters capable of matching the B-17's range currently exists. And with the D-Day invasion looming, they cannot afford to stop hitting strategic targets deep inside the Reich. It is an impossible dilemma.
Good evening, everyone. My wire is open for any late word Washington may have on the latest Nazi planes. Berlin radio claims the U-boats sank our aircraft carrying a range.
When news of Blitz Week reaches the White House, U.S. leaders are shocked by the tremendous losses. Intelligence reports also indicate that the Germans are already rebuilding at an alarming pace. Within weeks, nearly every target hit during Blitz Week is restored to near full capacity. President Franklin Roosevelt is outraged. He sends word to England, pressuring his already shaken commanders. They cannot take such extreme losses with such minimal gains. If they are going to continue daylight operations, then they must find a way to make the impossible possible.
Use runway 024, emergency crews are in action. Any wounded on board? This is Tower. I repeat, any wounded on board? Our boat is damaged and the gunner is stuck inside. We can't get him out. Echo 1, please repeat all wounded. Our boat is damaged and the gunner is stuck inside. All main motors are damaged. Gunner is stuck underneath the belly. Repeat, we are low on fuel. 2 engines out. We have to land. Elevator all the way down the flight path. You heard it. Release. Do you copy? Our boat is damaged and the gunner is stuck inside. I repeat, this is Echo 1 to Abbott. The gunner is stuck inside.
This is one of those nights when Europe is swept by
In the face of the disastrous Blitz Week offensive, top American leaders are growing critical of the 8th Air Force. President Roosevelt is considering abandoning daylight bombing and forcing the 8th to join the British on nighttime missions. But with D-Day less than 10 months away, 8th Air Force commanders still firmly believe that daytime precision bombing is the most effective way to destroy the Luftwaffe. Under intense pressure, they develop a new plan, one they hope will protect the bombers while proving that precision bombing does work.
Looks like something big is about to happen. The ground crews are hauling out the Tokyo tanks. That can only mean one thing. We're in for a real long one.
Joe Armanini and the men from the 100th Bombardment Group have spent the past 2 weeks resting and recovering for Blitz Week. Now, it's time to get back into action. Their mission is a dual strike that will send 376 bombers further into German airspace than ever before. Their targets are vital industrial choke points that, if knocked out, will deal a heavy blow to the German war machine. The plan is for 2 forces to fly similar courses as if they are heading for the same target. Once inside Germany, they will split apart, dividing the enemy's defenses so that each group will face only half of the Luftwaffe's fighters. The first strike force will hit a massive complex of ball bearing factories at Schweinfurt before looping around and returning to England. Armanini and the second strike force will continue on to a Messerschmitt assembly plant in Regensburg. After hitting the plant, they will escape across the Austrian Alps, heading down to bases in North Africa.
We're all suited up and ready to go, but the damn mist is so thick we can't even see the end of the runway. There's no way we can take off in this soup. We'll be all smashed up as soon as we get into the air.
At Thorpe Abbotts, Armanini and the Regensburg group wait on the tarmac. A heavy English mist makes takeoff impossible. "90 miles away at Polbrook, conditions are the same for the Schweinfurt force. Both groups are ordered to delay their departure.
Nothing is worse than waiting. Sitting around with nothing but thoughts running through your head, worrying about what might happen. Hell, I'd rather just get it over with. I wish they'd just make up their minds and either send us or let us go back to the huts. God, I could use a good shot of whiskey already.
As the Regensburg and Schweinfurt forces wait on the runways, it is uncertain when the heavy fog will lift and provide a window long enough to launch all of the 376 bombers. Timing between the group's departures is critical. In order to split the enemy's defenses, the two forces must take off within minutes of each other. If they don't, the Germans will have plenty of time to refuel, rearm, and attack both groups with full force. After more than 2 hours of delays, air commanders are forced to make a decision. They must send the Regensburg group now. Otherwise, it won't make it to North Africa before dark, and almost none of their pilots are experienced in nighttime landings. Armanini and the Regensburg force lift off into the overcast skies and set a course for Germany. As they break through the cloud cover and head over the English Channel, they don't know that the Schweinfurt group is still being held on the runway. It will be another 3.5 hours before the Schweinfurt group takes off. By the time they depart, the dual raid is already doomed. The critical timing has been compromised. As Armanini and the Regensburg force close in on Germany, they have no idea that the plan has been shattered, and that both forces will face the full might of the Luftwaffe. Seven and a half hours after departing from England, the Schweinfurt leg of the dual raid is limping back to base. Among those anxiously waiting for them is Stars and Stripes reporter Andy Rooney.
I'll be damned. Here they come. We can see tiny specks heading our way. My God. I can only imagine what they've been through.
Strawberry Hills to tower. We got left wing damage. Possible fuel leak. Sector 349 en route. Damage main brake system. This is 35. We have 4 down port. 1 engine down. I repeat, this is 35. We have 4 and 1 engine down. 23 millimeter all the way down this flight path. You've got to remain south of the river. Grab some altitude coming in here.
Frantic calls are coming in from the pilot of one B-17. Their ball turret gunner is trapped in the plastic bubble hanging beneath the bomber. The gears that rotate the ball and enable him to climb out and back up into the aircraft have been hit and are jammed. He's trapped inside the plastic cage. 2 of their engines are damaged. 3,000 pounds of dead weight just hanging from the wings, dragging them even further down. Their gas tanks are empty, and their electrical and hydraulic systems are shot full of holes. Without the electrical system, they can't bring the wheels down. If they make it at all, they'll have to crash land, belly first. The ball turret gunner knows, as we all do, what comes down first when there are no wheels. He will be crushed between the concrete of the runway and the belly of the bomber. And there is nothing any of us can do about it.
Almighty God, our sons, pride of our nation, this day have set upon a mighty endeavor, a struggle to preserve our republic, our religion, and our civilization, and to set free a suffering humanity. Give strength to their arms, stoutness to their hearts, steadfastness in their faith. They will need thy blessings. Their road will be long and hard.
I returned to London, shaken, and unable to write the most dramatic, most gruesome, the most heart-wrenching story I had ever witnessed. Some reporter.
A huge force of American fortresses and liberators flew out from Britain today to strike at targets in southern Germany.
Large forces of American bombers were out again today, pounding Europe into shape for invasion.
Our American planes of the 8th Air Force have played a great role.
The Red Army has captured 7 settlements in the Smolensk area. American planes have battered at Jap bases throughout.
Another command performance for that lovely sweater girl, Judy Garland.
From the sounds of the news reports, this war might be over before I even get into it. According to this article called "I Saw Regensburg Destroyed," the 8th Air Force over in England just knocked out 30% of Germany's fighter production by hitting one city. Damn, that is a heck of a lot. It sounds like we might be training for nothing. Although right now, all we're really doing is just kind of killing time. So one afternoon, I run into this gorgeous girl. Her name is Dorothy. She is just a doll to be around. All it takes is a couple of dates, and I am completely infatuated with her.
23-year-old John Gibbons of St. Mary's, Kansas, is stationed at Mitchell Airfield in Milwaukee, awaiting delivery of a brand new Douglas C-54 transport. His orders are to fly to China and deliver supplies to U.S. troops. So far, his only real connection to the war is through newspapers and radio reports.
The papers were fairly favorable at what was going on. The person that wrote the article, the mission to Regensburg, said they were very successful. People were fairly confident. They didn't know. They didn't know.
The German Air Force in its production centers, on its aerodromes, and in the air. We, the RAF and the United States Air Force, will keep the German air raid warning service on a 24-hour basis. We'll send over so many planes that the German anti-aircraft gunners will be beating their heads on the concrete. I wouldn't want to be a German in Germany this summer. There will be no future in it.
The biggest air battle cost 307 planes. What a bunch of crap that was. That's not true. We lost 72 B-17 bombers in that mission to Regensburg. We claim to have shot down 307 German planes, which is not true. It can't be possible. Aerial gunnery is the most difficult thing from a B-17 to a fighter. They're coming at almost 450 miles to 500 miles an hour, and you're shooting at a moving target that's almost impossible to hit. You're just lucky if you do hit them. It's just ridiculous, that's all. Some of the claims we made. I know they're done for the public. That's what they're really done for. And that's the part of the charm of the thing, because we're lying so well and doing all these great things, which is not true.
The truth is that the only victory of the Regensburg-Schweinfurt mission is had by the 8th Air Force Public Relations Office, which falsely reports that the targets have been wiped off the map. In reality, nearly 1/3 of the bombs missed the targets at Schweinfurt. At Regensburg, the bombing is accurate, but the Messerschmitt plant is quickly rebuilt. Also underreported are the horrific losses sustained by American crews. When Joe Armanini returns to England, he learns 60 bombers are missing and another 100 permanently disabled. In just one day, nearly 40% of the 8th Air Force's entire fighting force has been crippled or destroyed.
There's an element of luck in this whole thing, you know?
That's what it is. It's just luck. Nothing else but luck. The war became a thing of horror as far as we're concerned, because all we could think about is tragedy. That's all you heard. People dying, and that's a thing that you had enough of it.
By the summer of 1943, Hitler's Luftwaffe boasts more than 1,000 fighter aces. Several have confirmed kills of over 20 Allied bombers. But despite their vaunted reputation, German pilots are being pushed to the limit. With a fly-to-die policy, they rack up tremendous kill numbers only by flying at an exhausting pace. Although they destroy 60 U.S. bombers during the Regensburg-Schweinfurt mission, Hitler is furious that his fighters could not stop the 8th from penetrating so deeply into Germany. The day after the raid, the despairing Luftwaffe chief of staff puts a bullet through his brain. The air war is taking a toll on both sides.
God, I feel like I'm gonna be sick. Our orders just came through. The C-54s aren't coming after all. Instead, we're to pick up B-17s and head over to England to join the war there. I'm not sure how to tell Dorothy. It's hard to even talk about the future when neither one of us has any idea what might happen. But I got no choice. I tell her I've been transferred. I tell her I'll correspond with her and ask if she'll write letters to me in return.
I didn't know really what was going to happen.
Everywhere I look, I see Americans. It's almost as if England itself has been invaded. You don't have to be a German spy to realize an invasion's coming. There's never a time where I don't think we were going to win the war.
We had great forces, we had a lot of them, and we had the Air Force. I never had the feeling that we couldn't win this war. I had the feeling I might get killed during it, but I never felt we'd lose.
By November 1943, men, munitions, and equipment are streaming into England at an accelerated pace. The Normandy invasion is less than 7 months away, and preparations are already in full swing. But as hundreds of thousands of men train for the most complicated amphibious invasion ever attempted, 8th Air Force leaders know they are still missing one essential element for success. They have yet to win control of the skies over Northern Europe. Without it, the fate of the entire D-Day operation remains in jeopardy.